Hey VC, it's Jonathan doing part 2 of Under the Radar. Under the Radar is a string of videos people are doing, which basically is trying to introduce people, especially younger people who are collecting vinyl for the first time, who are basically stuck in buying all the basic stuff. They go out and they buy the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, Led Zeppelin, just to show them that there's a lot more out there besides the usual suspects, and hopefully they'll watch these videos and discover something new. So I did a part 1 and I had so much stuff I had to go for part 2. So we better get on it because I got lots to look at. First one up is one of my favorite guitar players, guy out of LA, a session musician basically, but has put a couple stuff out on his own, and that is David Lindley. His album is David Lindley and El Rayo X. It's called Very Greasy, and it is very greasy. It's swamp rock, it's LA rock, it's some reggae style, some straight up rock and roll. It's just a fantastic record. He's played with Linda Ronstadt, he's played with Warren Zevon. You'll see his name in lots of albums. This album in particular, he does Do You Want to Dance, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, Werewolves of London, Texas Tornado, Talking to the Wino 2. It's great. Love this record. David Lindley, anything by him is great, but this is particularly wonderful. Next one is a New Yorker. I discovered him in the 70s. Hard to categorize. He's certainly not straight up rock and roll. Singer-songwriter, Garland Jeffries, album Guts for Love. This is from 82, I think, 82. He's friends with Springsteen, hangs out with him. It's not rock and roll, it's not jazz, it's not blues. It's God knows what it is. It's great though. Just a wonderful record. Garland Jeffries, still around, still making music. Highlights on this album is Real Man, Surrender, Guts for Love. Just great stuff. So check out Garland Jeffries. Definitely under the radar kind of guy. Next up, another under the radar for me. A lot of people don't know him. He's another Texas singer-songwriter, and that would be Delbert McClinton. Might have seen his name somewhere. He's still around, still recording, still giving shows, but not really super well known. This is called Playing from the Heart. Be Good to Yourself, Heartbreak Radio, In the Midnight Hour, Lipstick Traces on a Cigarette, Rooster Blues. Just great, great music. This is from 81. So, there you go. Delbert McClinton. All these guys are like hard to define because they're not one, they're not the other. You can't really put them in a category, which is why I like them. All right, here's another under the radar band. This is a band from the East Coast, Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. This was an album they never was released till way after they made it with their other stuff. This is their first tapes, recorded in 1972, previously unreleased. Besides Jonathan Edwards, it features Jerry Harrison, later of the Talking Heads, and David Robinson, later of the Cars. It was recorded in 72. This is early punk. If this had been released in 72 when it was recorded, it would have changed a lot of things, but it wasn't released probably till the late 70s. Search this record out if you're into punk scene at all, if you're into really raw rock and roll. The Modern Lovers, Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. Next one is a record people might have seen, but might have just passed it by. A lot of famous people on it, and it's a great record. Jammin' with Edward. This is with Nicky Hopkins, Ry Cooder, which I showed in my first video, Mick Jagger, Bill Wyman, Charlie Watts. What else can you say? Jam with Edward. I'm not sure exactly when this was recorded. I have a feeling this was recorded right when they were doing the movie Performance, because I know that Ry Cooder played on that movie with Mick Jagger, and there was talk of Rycooter joining the Stones, but obviously that never happened. He was not really, couldn't do that kind of thing. He couldn't play the same music all the time. But this is a great album, really under the radar, jamming with Edward. Next one is a group of singers, female singers from New York also. Never made it big, but fantastic harmonies, great, great music. And that'd be the Roaches. Is Maggie, Susie, and Terry. Beautiful, beautiful harmonies. Unfortunately, I think Maggie Roach just passed away last year. But definitely, you've seen this around. You probably passed it by. If you're into harmonies, into beautiful singing, a great record. The Roaches. Next one is a record by a guy someone showed the other day when they were doing these videos. He showed one of the early albums. This is his later album. Originally, they were a band from Texas, and they put out an album. The marketing people wanted to market them. This is 1964. Because of the British invasion, wanted to make them seem more English. So they changed the name of the band and called them the Sir Douglas Quintet. Even though they weren't English, had nothing to do with England. They were all Texas boys. That album was a great album. But when they broke up and he decided to go alone, he put out this album, which I think is a superior record. And this is Doug Somm and Band on Atlantic. Hillbilly rock, country rock, just a little bit of everything in here, and this is a great, great record. Is Anybody Going to San Antone? What a great song. Dealer's Blues, Faded Love, Blues Stay Away From Me, Papa Ain't Salty, one of my favorite, and has everybody on here. Dr. John's on here. Bob Dylan was, actually I heard Bob Dylan played guitar on this, and it was so awful they had to take it out, remove his guitar playing on it. What I heard also has David Brownberg, like I said, David Fathead Newman. Great record. Doug Somm and Band. He just passed away about a year or two ago. His stuff is just great. I have a bunch of his stuff, but this is one of my favorites. Definitely worth checking it out. And this is another band that was, I guess, had their time in the spotlight, but sort of slipped from view. But I just think they're great. Just make me smile every time I listen to them. And it's Southern Culture on the Skids. Never see them get any love on the VC. This is their album, Cosmopolitan Favorites. A great, great record. Oh, I mean, I love all their stuff, but this is particularly wonderful. Oh, Lonesome Me, they do Muscle White Hillbilly, Wolverton Mountain. What else they do? Tobacco Road. Just great. Great stuff. There you go. Cosmopolitan. Southern Culture on the Skids. And last but not least, if you're into that rockabilly, this was part of that rockabilly revival before Stray Cats. There was Robert Gordon. This album has Link Wray with it, and it's called Fresh Fish Special. I have a number of Robert Gordon albums. This happens to be my favorite of all of them. Link Wray plays guitar in it, fantastic. Red Cadillac and Black Mustache, 5 Days, 5 Weeks. Does Springsteen's Fire, fantastic version of that. Sea Cruise, Lonesome Train, just a great, great record. Robert Gordon, Fresh Fish Special. So those are my Under the Radar albums for today. Hope you enjoyed them. If you like the video, I'd love to have more people subscribe. I'm doing really amazing. I got over 180 subscribers, which I never thought I'd get that. When I got up to 10 subscribers, I was amazed. So I'm up to about 185, which is wonderful. If you enjoyed it, let me know down below. You have any comments, I'd love to hear them. And until next time, peace.